All right, yeah. So as far as trends go, or decks that I'd seen most of last season, I was kind of glad that I didn't see very many destroy decks anymore. I wasn't running into them. I did run into a lot of high evolutionary, even though I thought Mobius would kind of stave that off.
I feel like I've never really seen a slowdown in well, I guess I've seen it go from nonstop to frequent, and just enough to make me, go, why would I leave Luke Cage out of this deck?
Right. As far as decks go, I was really being pretty successful. I went away from my anti-destroy deck that I had because it just was becoming a little less useful. When I got Jean Grey, I created a deck that was just geared to making people mad. I'd set Jean Grey down there, and then out comes Stegron.
Oh, and yeah.
They try to fill it up, but they can't. It seemed like I was making some headway, although I finished out at 70 this season. So it's one of these things where I usually hit 70. I'll go up 3 levels, then down 3 levels, up 3 levels, down 3 levels. So I just don't go anywhere. 3 steps forward, 3 steps back. It was fun to play because I just love to watch, like, the other player try to figure out how they're going to win when they always had to play a card on that location no matter what. I did go back to my Shulkanaut deck for a little bit and was having some pretty good success with that, but again, ended up dropping a bunch. I finally got towards the end of the season. I was just like, look, I'm not going to try and score infinite here. I'm just going to have fun. Started tinkering around with other decks that I had in there just to see if I could do anything with them and have a good time, and that's really all that matters there. So how about you? What were things like last season?
Oh, let's see. Jean Grey. I mean, I know I've said on here I wanted Jean Grey mainly for the classic X-Men aspect, but she was even better than I thought. I know I had like a couple variations of decks with her that I kind of went away from, and I don't remember why. I think maybe it was because I was trying to experiment with Ravana and Mobius, but I know I had like a very Guardians heavy deck with her. The one I kept was one that had some Guardians. I know we talked about it last time. I didn't go for the the Juggernaut Stegron moving cards away, which seems really obvious. Not sure why I didn't try. I mean, I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm like, why didn't I think of that? I went with more of the Guardians stuff, but the one I ended up leaving with her, I had her, and then of course I had Zabu and Luke Cage, which is 90% of my decks, and then I did throw Groot and Gamora in there, so the higher end Guardians, Nebula, because if you play Nebula away from Jean Grey, she starts building up.
Right.
Sunspot and Kitty Pryde, and then because Zabu was in there, I had Jessica Jones and Rescue. One thing I like to do is play Jessica Jones on Rescue. Maybe at that point you fill up Jean Grey's space, or if you still got a spot left and you're building it up, throw Omega Red in there. So it kept boosting the cards, but I already have a Booster's Gold deck, so I thought of this one as stacking points, and so I named it after one of the greatest named characters in cinematic history, Stacker Pentecost.
Who is that?
Idris Elba in Pacific Rim.
Oh, okay, got it.
One of my hot internet takes was to go on Facebook and claim that his speech, "We are canceling the apocalypse," in Pacific Rim was better than Bill Pullman's Independence Day speech.
Oh, wow. Hot take for sure.
Yeah, and then I actually went back and watched them, and it was like, no, I'm just not that into Independence Day. That's probably a better speech. But that doesn't mean that Idris Elba's speech in Pacific Rim isn't awesome.
Okay.
Because it is. It's just not, it's admittedly not as awesome. I just...
would be difficult.
Anyway, but we're not talking about my complicated feelings toward Independence Day here. If you want to hear a little bit more about that, you can head on over to asterisk51.blogspot.com. Oh, am I allowed to plug?
Oh, yeah, you can plug, buddy.
Okay.
Plug away.
All right. So yeah, that's what I did with Jean Grey, and now I want to go back. I mean, I often have a deck that I label Offenders that's just to frustrate people. So yeah, maybe I need to put Jean and Juggernaut and Stegron in there and see what happens. Yeah, like I said, Zabu, I owe Zabu an apology. Snowguard, the Snowguard change was interesting because not only did she, become another POW for the collector, but she, when I did play Magic and somebody played Snowguard, I'm like, okay, well, this is going to be a 6-turn game after all.
Mm-hmm. You knew.
She would shut Magic down. So
Let me tell you real quick. I want to step in here,
yeah.
just tell you about one of the snow guard interactions that I had just recently. I was playing a guy who had laid down snow guard, and it came all the way down to the 6th turn. And my plan was to destroy this guy by playing. Oh my goodness, it was an 8 point. I want to say it was an eight power something. I think it was vision, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
Either
okay.
way, the occasion was Bar Sinister. I completely forgot that he had that thing in his hand and he knew what I was going to play. And I laid it down on Bar Sinister, and of course he flipped his over and ignored all the location abilities, and just one single guy came out there, and that was the end of the game, and I lost. It was bad. It was bad news. So anyway, continue. I interrupted you.
No, you're good. I have on here my first note of the season is R.I.P. Spider-Ham. I mean, he's still fun, and at least they dropped him back to a 1 because he ain't worth 2. You know, I've still had Spider-Ham pig a key card, but it's random when it happens. And I get he's a 1 cost. He shouldn't be that good. It gave me a chance also to write emotes. He's still not as broken as High Evolutionary. I mean, the High Evolutionary thing, it has to be, because you remember the trouble they had when they first introduced it. It has to be that his effect doesn't work if it's an ongoing. The only way they can get that effect to work is to make it just, if he's in your deck, it affects those other cards. There are ways to defend against the individual effects, but that's the only card in the game I can think of that there's no answer for.
Yeah, I don't like it. You can't discard it. Doesn't matter.
You can destroy it.
You can destroy it. Doesn't matter.
You can copy it, but since it didn't, well, no, you can copy the other cards, but like if you randomly draw High Evolutionary, it does nothing.
Right.
So, but that has to be it, because it's too obvious a flaw, but too many people like it. I mean, I'm not saying they ought to get rid of it or completely eliminate it. It should be an ongoing. And the only reason I can think of that it isn't an ongoing is that it just doesn't work. Because the people who make this game I know this will shock a lot of our listeners, but the people who make this game are smarter than me about this stuff. So if I've figured this out, chances are they've figured it out, and I just don't think there's a way around it.
Yeah.
The personal highlight for me, the deck that I made the most progress with, features a card that I am ready to say was worth the 6,000 tokens.
Oh man, what could this be?
My Living Iron Slot deck.
Great name.
The Living Tribunal, Onslaught, and Iron Man.
Yeah.
And now I did have a friendly game where I could not get that combo even drawn, let alone to work, to save my life. It went like 5 rounds, and I don't even think I got all 3 cards to the point where I could have used them, except for 1. If you get all 3 of them, you got a good shot at winning, but it's not impossible to win without them. The one that I was saving up for, that I was like, hey, this would really work. And then I'm like, I don't know, do I really want to spend 6,000 tokens on this? Because a lot of times when I get excited about a card, I was really pumped about Sauron. I mean, Sauron works, but I don't know, not to the level I thought. You know, we've been over the Living Tribunal. But I was like, man, I really want Iron Lad in this deck, because my insurance to try to get all those cards was magic. I mean, I tried Psylocke at one point, but I would always use Psylocke too early. So in order to play 2 6-cost cards, you need some extra energy, or you need a 7th turn. The only way to get the whole combo to work is to be able to play Magic, Iron Man, Onslaught, and Living Tribunal.
Yeah.
Preferably in that order, because I feel like if you have Living Tribunal out before the last turn, he's susceptible to Shang-Chi. There's ways to prepare for him.
Mm-hmm.
But if somebody's like, well, yeah, you're loading up all your points over there, but I can win the other 2, and then you Living Tribunal. Before I had Iron Lad, Jubilee was my answer, because she would pull another card out. But then Iron Lad, he can get one of those cards out early, and then if you don't get all of them, well, then suddenly you can put Iron Man in 2 places, or you can put Onslaught in 2 places. So there's so that really worked, and that's where I made a lot of my progress. I did get up into the low 90s.
Wow.
I stayed in the 80s forever. It took me forever to actually break 90, because like I got up to 89 and I kept Like I was in the car for a while, I wasn't driving, so I played a few games, and finally I'm like, I got to stop. I'm not getting anywhere.
Yeah,
I would get up to like 89 and 5 or 6 cubes and then drop down. So, but I finally did break through with that one, and that deck's been a lot of fun. And so yes, Living Tribunal, I feel like he's earned his tokens.
Living Iron Slot.
There you go.
I love it.
And now there's 2 irons in it. So
that's great. Moving on here, we'll talk about what we had the chance to unlock last season. Just a heads up, currently at 6,921 as of today. I've saved up 5 spotlight caches just sitting there ready to be used. And I was looking at what's coming up this season, and I may get a little feisty when Man-Thing comes around.
I was looking at this earlier. I think Man-Thing's going to be 3,000.
If that's the case, then maybe I have the tokens by then.
I might have a shot at Man-Thing. I don't think, because I used 6,000 on Iron Lad and 3,000 on Mobius. So I think right now, I pulled the trigger on Mobius so I could use him on the target, the limited time mission.
Oh yeah,
So I got 200. I spent 3,000 and got 200 tokens.
Yeah.
Not sure if that was the best return on investment.
I didn't unlock a whole lot. I really didn't. And I think this season I started to play a little bit less. That's probably why. But again, I think it also has something to do with the way that they've redone the collection ladder, possibly. Yeah. I have become a gold hoarder.
Oh, yeah.
Just because of how the gold squeeze is going right now, I've got 7,640 gold.
Nice.
And I'm afraid to spend it but the thing is that there were a couple things in the variant shop was like, oh, I really want to get that. But then what would happen is in my brain, I'd be like, but that gold's never going to come back, Jesse. You're rarely going to see it. Now that's not the case, but if you spend it, you may not get as much as you used to.
Yeah, it takes a while to replenish it. Although knowing that, I still bought 2 variants.
Okay.
This past season.
Okay.
I found out that the thing where you buy variants and eventually you can build up to 2,000 tokens. Mm-hmm. There's not a time limit on that. I thought like you had to buy it all in a certain amount of time.
Oh yeah, it stays.
But once I found that out, I'm like, yeah, okay, I can get a few things. I mean, I don't. There's been variants that I'm like, that's cool. There were a couple. When I tell you what they are, maybe you wouldn't have pulled the trigger, but you'll understand why I pulled the trigger.
Okay, all right. I did want to do a brief mention about the Dan Hip variant shop takeover, which was really cool.
That was an exercise in self-control for me.
Yeah, I was like, this is actually a great idea.
Oh, yeah.
And they're apparently planning on doing it again with this upcoming Midnight Suns crossover that they're doing. So I don't know if you've heard of the video game. I think it's out now, actually, called Midnight Suns.
I've heard of it, and they tried to do a tie-in comic, and once again, the video game fans didn't migrate over to the comics.
And Midnight Suns is spelled different, like not what you're used to. So they're doing a whole variant takeover of the shop, and it's going to look very similar to that Doctor Strange that we got for free. I got an Onslaught Dan Hip variant.
Nice.
A Zero Sports variant, which is Zero holding up the scorecards, which is pretty funny.
I like that one, yeah.
Yeah. I got the Zabu. So this was that week where I got Zabu variant with Fiona Haye, I think I'll go with variant.
Just say it confidently.
Jean Grey, Ravana Renslayer. So those were the 3 that I unlocked with some spotlight caches, I believe. And then ended up with a Domino Greg Land variant, which is pretty freaking cool. Nice. It's got her and it's got all the guns in the background.
Oh yeah.
It looks really
cool.
Yeah. I got a Beast all new variant, which you would probably know better than I do.
Yes.
What is that?
I don't remember that one. I think that's a reference to all new X-Men.
He's got horns.
Okay, which happened once or twice. All new X-Men is the one, and if you haven't read it, you would love it. Because
this is where they bring the team from the past.
The original X-Men. Yeah, right. Back when 616 Beast was just kind of crazy instead of full-on supervillain, which he is now in X-Force. Like Dark Beast is looking at him and going, dude, dial it back.
Dark Beast.
But at some point, Hank McCoy and that started dabbling in sorcery. And I can't remember. Now, I didn't read all of that So it may have been in X-Men Blue or something like that, where he may have gone full beast. But that's what that's a reference to. He actually started like learning sorcery and stuff because he was like, well, hey, here's one area I don't know anything about. So, and it was cool, you know, some of the stuff they did to kind of distinguish them from their original timeline selves.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Nowadays, Beast has one eye and a pot belly, and he's much more twisted than the dude in that card.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But that's what it, I believe, is a reference to.
Okay. All right. Next up was Evan's favorite. Got a chibi variant of Maria Hill, which I don't think is that bad.
I don't even know if I've seen that one.
Yeah. Well, she's got a big head. Surprise.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Those chibis just don't do it for me. I wish I could trade people my chibi variants for their pixel variants.
Yeah, that needs to be a thing. Totally does. Mobius M. Mobius, and then Human Torch, the Max Grecki variant, which is, you know, he's just completely engulfed in flame, which looks really cool. And then I talked about the Doctor Strange Midnight Suns variant. So those are all of the variants that I got. How about you, Evan? What did you do?
I started off with Titania in a do-rag.
What?
Titania in a do-rag.
Okay, I need to look this up and see what in the world.
I'll send you a picture. I mean, I'd seen it a few times. I'm thinking maybe it was, I mean, I'm assuming it was in a comic somewhere. I mean, maybe somebody thought, you know what? Let's see if we can explore a side of Titania's character beyond boobs. So yeah, I don't know. I didn't recognize it. I was thinking maybe it was like an ultimate version, but it doesn't say that. So I don't know. But it's a more you know, conservative Titania, I guess.
I found
a little more practical costume.
Yeah,
I mean, although there are spikes and, you know, belt buckles, unnecessary belts. So, you know, it's it's a different take.
Definitely.
Okay, Pixel Drax, always appreciated. And then I was saving up my spotlight caches because I wanted Ravana, I wanted Mobius, didn't care about Eliath. Oh, this was even before Eliath. But I'm like, well, I've got 3 spotlight caches. I can probably spare one because let me get a crack at Jeff. And if I don't get Jeff, at least maybe I'll get Spider-Gwen. I got a Null variant.
Oh, no.
I mean, no, Null's an effective card, but he's just, you know, darkness personified, not my idea of a fun. So I didn't want to spend a resource on a Null variant. Yeah. I'll accept a free Null card. I'm not too proud to use Null, but then I got cheered up because my next 2 cards I unlocked were a Pixel She-Hulk and Pixel Absorbing Man.
Nice.
I got the Ghost Rider version of the Quinjet.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty sick.
And then after trying to hold on to my gold and mainly spending it on Token Tuesday, I got that Pixel Wolverine because it reminded me of old video games.
I will tell you that it is a great purchase. And when you level it up, the animation is just superb. All that happens really is that his claws glint, like a little sparkle comes off. Yeah, it's sick. So
unfortunately, I don't use Wolverine that much.
You need
but
to.
Still, and when I think back of, you know, Pixel and less advanced graphics with Wolverine, I'm reminded of a friend of mine. For his birthday, he got all excited. He got the X-Men game for Nintendo, and another friend's older brother was like, "But this is what it looks like. Here's Wolverine," and he pulls out a thing of chapstick and twists it and goes, "Stick it." That's always stuck with me whenever I think Wolverine in video games. It's chapstick, snick it. And I know it's not pronounced snicket, but that makes it funnier.
It does.
Then I went through the spotlight cache that we talked about, Jean Grey, Ravana, and Zabu. I got a Mahmoud Asrar Apocalypse variant where he's holding a sword. Got a Pixel Sunspot. I think I was complaining last time that I've never gotten any Sunspot variants. I just keep splitting him and not getting an ink split. But I got a Pixel Sunspot. I got that weird profile variant of Deathlock where it's like a schematic of his head.
Yeah, that is a weird
It looks
card.
Cool. I mean, it looks cool, but I'm always like, wait, what is that? No matter how many times I see it, I'm like, wait, who is that?
Why do they look like that?
I mean, you know, if I'm getting a Deathlock variant, I want it to be the chicken one.
The chicken Deathlock?
You haven't seen the chicken Deathlock variant?
Oh boy, is this one of the ones that came out with the animals season?
Yeah, it might be called
Oh,
Deathbach, and if it's not, it should be.
oh, there's no way. Oh, I've got to look this up now.
Anyway, like I said, the profile schematic thing is very cool. It just, I don't know, it's not instantly recognizable as Deathlock.
Yeah.
So then I took a shot at Mobius, and I got the DJ Kang variant, which should be funnier and cooler than it actually is. I mean, I guess it is. You've got a guy who, what, is some kind of descendant of Doctor Doom, or he's related to Doom somehow, or Mr. Fantastic, and he's sitting there still looking like Kang, but with headphones. So I guess that's kind of funny. It's like, I am the DJ, but he's not into it at all. Then I got the Beast all-new variant.
Okay, all right.
And once I was sure I'd have enough tokens to get Mobius, I pulled the trigger on Iron Lad. Took one more shot at Mobius, got Stature in the Spotlight Cache. Haven't used her yet, but I mean, I don't know. I like Cassie Lang. I like that she's slowly becoming Stinger, the version that we met in A-Next. I'm in favor of her inclusion in the game. And now that I've got Iron Lad and Patriot, I'm like 50% of the way to a Young Avengers team. Let's see. I got the Odin Conquest variant. And then after saying, okay, I bought one variant, I'm not going to buy it again until unless I find one that really speaks to me. And then the Dan Hip Mobius appeared. Okay,
is the Dan Hip Mobius the one? Maybe I did see that. Is that the one with the Loki crocodile?
Yeah. It's got Alligator Loki, and it looks more like Owen Wilson.
Yeah, Old Man Mobius.
The standard Mobius card, which and I don't know if that's because I know the original Mobius was based on Mark Grunwald, so I don't know if that's more of an homage to him or what. But this one, aside from having Alligator Loki, it says "wow" to me. So yeah, I got that one. Now I'm just 8 variants away from 2,000 tokens, and then I unlocked a Luca Claretti hood. So I guess maybe that's the scales is like, it's like, look, I'm giving you all these pixels, but occasionally you have to not only have a hood variant, but it has to be a hood variant that just doesn't do anything for you.
I've got to see this because I think that might be the one that I have. Yeah, this is the one where he's kind of like floating.
He looks like the kid that's like thinks he's really tough and running things at the private school, maybe even selling a little drugs, but none of the hard stuff. I don't know. So yeah, I don't know. I've got that and the Chibi hood variant. And I just the Hood's not a bad character, but he's like, I don't like him. I mean, he's really annoying and unlikable as a character. So I don't know. That just really translates. And then I got the Midnight Suns Doctor Strange. So
okay, all right. Well, there you go. That's our unlocks for the season. Thanks a lot for joining us. Make sure to tune in tomorrow for the next installment of Snap Material.